Hello, everybody. It's Ryan and Megan. We are here and just about to get started here. We are recording this meeting, and I'm just going to open up screen sharing here. You'll be able to see my screen. Just one second. And we will get started right away. Just a second, we're going to get going here.
I think give people about 1 minute to come on.
Yeah. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. We'll give about 1 more minute, and then we'll get started. Yeah. Okay, I think we should get going here. So you should be able to see my screen now and see the PowerPoint presentation. I'm just going to minimize that for a second and see how many people we have on this call. This is actually the first time that we have used Meeting Burner. So we are recording this right now. And I have a backup recording going too, just in case something goes wrong. So we are going to record this.
What things on the call?
I can see participants down here. Looks like we have quite a few people on here. So this is good. Now, for those of you who haven't used, it's just people that have been talking. Visual is up. For people who haven't used this, this is our first time as well. So hopefully everything runs smoothly, and we'll just jump right into our presentation. Do you want to maybe introduce us? I think we kind of already have in our video, right? So
yeah. Hi guys. It's just Ryan and Megan, and we did a little group yes. But yeah, we're here. We're excited with recruiting and personal business, and we're excited to share a bunch of stuff with you. I know there's a bunch of new content that I'm excited to hear that we've never really trained our even team or group on yet. So he's got some good material that I think will be exciting for you guys. And I'm going to share some kind of mindsets and a lot about the psychology of recruiting that is absolutely crucial that you need to have before you can even start to be a good and successful recruiter. So we're going to have, you're going to need to maybe get your school brain on a little bit. We're going to be talking about some paradigms and philosophy and some of the kind of the deeper stuff tonight with both networking and with sponsoring. So turn on those go back to school brains, and we're going to get a little deeper than usual.
Okay, I'm seeing here that some people are saying they have sound, some people are saying they don't have sound. Can someone on the chat screen please tell me whether or not they can hear us right now? Web audio only. I can hear you. Okay, good. So you can hear us. So the people who can't, okay, everyone can hear us, so that's good. The people that you can't hear us, it's probably the way you logged in. You might need to log back out and log back in. But everyone can hear us, so that's good. Okay, so guys, let's just jump in. What we're going to do here is we're just going to launch into our presentation. I'm going to take the first half hour on networking, and then I'm going to pass it over to Meghann on recruiting. We'll ask you to maybe hold questions to the end. And I guess what we can always do is we're going to make this available on the Goal Digger page after. And we are also available for questions, you know, if you want to re-listen to this or let things sink in and then reach out for questions down the road or on the page, that's fine too. You don't have to feel that you need to get all your questions in tonight if you want to just absorb what we're going to say, okay? So let me pull up my presentation. So I've created a presentation called Become a Networking Superstar, okay? I'm going to jump right in. I want to start with a proposition for you. And the proposition is this. Your success, I've used the word in life, but we could easily substitute that for Scentsy, is going to be highly driven by the relationships that you can build and what you can create together. We all know that this compensation plan with Scentsy is a compensation plan that heavily rewards the ability to recruit and to build a team. So, and to get the people that you recruit to do the same. Our team knows that I use the analogy of a rectangle all the time. That's what we're trying to build. A lot of times people think this idea of pyramid in this type of business, but it's actually not. It's more of a rectangle. We're trying to build a very large rectangle that's going to take lots of relationships. Now, proposition number 2 is that most people, I know this might sound like a bold statement, but in my experience, it is true. Most people don't know how to effectively network. Why is that? Well, I have my theories. One of the theories is that this isn't taught to you. It's not taught in school, and unless you have someone who maybe has experience as an entrepreneur or experience in some type of networking business or public relations or journalists or someone where a network is really important, unless you've never learned kind of the nuances of networking, then a lot of it's not natural. And I'm gonna show some of the common mistakes that people make all the time in this. Okay. Now, next slide. I have basically 2 simple goals over the next 26 minutes. I want to show you how not to network. I'm going to show you the way that tons of people do it wrong, and I'm going to show you how to do it right. Okay? Why? Why does any of this matter? We always ask the question. Can I make my screen big? Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, there we go. Why does this matter? Well, if you don't remember anything else from my part of the presentation, there's this principle, and then there's another one that I'm going to tell you in a second. This principle you need to remember. Your current network, meaning the network that you've come into Scentsy with, your friends, your family, even your current town, it's likely not big enough to support your goals. So if you're coming into, and what do I mean by that? What I mean is that you're not going to recruit every single one of your friends. Frankly, you wouldn't really want to anyway. You're not going to recruit every single one of your family members. You're not going to be able to build the type of business that supports your goals. And I recognize that there's a whole range of goals with all of you. I recognize some of you want to build full-time businesses, full-time income, to be able to support yourself. Some of you even have lofty goals like me and Meghann did back in the day about, hey, let's do this for a family. Let's see if we can replace 2 incomes instead of 1. I'm telling you from experience in literally living this right now, your current network isn't big enough. So it's a must that you grow your network. And the larger your network, the larger your potential recruiting base. Okay, so let's just jump in to how not to network, okay? So, really simple. If you're trying to build your network, then there's a good chance you're going about it the wrong way. What do I mean by that? This person. Are you this person? Are you the I need to build my network because I want to be successful? Now, I don't want you to answer this question, and because I have my slides in full screen anyway, I can't even see your answers. But ask yourself this silently, are you this type of person? when you think about the concept of networking, do you think about this type of person? Do you think about the person who works the room? Do you think about the person with a big stack of business cards who's going to, quote, work the room and work their network and build their network and get all these contacts for them to be successful? If that's your dominant mindset, it's likely that you're not going to be overly successful as a networker. Why? Number one, it's really self-serving, and that's really obvious. I think every single one of us has been at an event where someone is trying to work the room. It's fake, it's annoying, people don't like it, and it's not memorable. We don't think of the people who are only into themselves. Let me tell you the truth about networking. It's not networking at all. The whole idea of a net that we build is really self-serving. If you're good at networking, then all that means is that you're really good at building trusted relationships. Because that's what networking is at its heart. It's about building relationships, making friends, finding ways to make other people more successful. There's this great quote that I like from an author, Keith Ferrazzi, and it's from his book, Never Eat Alone, which I would highly recommend you getting. A brilliant book on the art of large-scale, what I would call large-scale friendship building. The currency of real networking is not greed, but generosity. So what do you need to build positive relationships? You got to connect. There's got to be some place where you connect. It can be online, but there needs to be somewhere that it happens. There has to be a creation of trust. There has to be both a give and a take. There has to be an exchange of value. And at the end of the day, we do business with those we like and trust. Think about your own consumer experience. When someone comes to you and says, hey, do you know a dentist, or do you know a plumber, or do you know a accountant, or do you know whatever, real estate agent, you're likely to refer someone that you have good feelings about, someone that you like, someone that you trust. Now flip that equation over. It applies directly into us. When people are thinking about Scentsy, when people are asking about Scentsy and who is a Scentsy consultant, the people who get referred to all the time are the ones who have gone out and built relationships. So I want you to think of this new networking mantra. I'm going to build a real relationship before I ever try to pursue an agenda. Now, this is hard for people, right? Because, for those of you on our team, you know that I'm huge on get out there, do a large number of approaches, and I talk all the time about how you should talk to 3, 5, 10 people a day, every single day, do large number of approaches. And if you're out there doing all these approaches, it's really easy to get focused in your agenda, meaning I want this person to buy, I want this person to join, I want this person to host. You completely get absorbed into your own wants. But I'm telling you, you've got to learn to at least put that to the side, to detach from that. If you want to be really, really successful, you have to do the large-scale number of approaches, but we have to look at building a relationship independent of the agenda. And the purpose of the relationship is the relationship itself, not the potential result of where that relationship may lead. A professional relationship builder is this. They're willing to build a positive relationship even if they can't see an immediate benefit to their goals or their personal career and agenda. Contrast this with the person who works the room. I've spent a good chunk of my career before Scentsy in large corporate matters. And I've been in so many different situations where someone's working the room, and if they deem you not to be a person of interest, they don't want to talk to you. But I'm telling you, that's the biggest mistake you could ever make in this business. So when you're out there and you're talking to people and someone says, oh, I'm not interested in Scentsy, or they just have no interest, and then you immediately cut your interest off in building that relationship because that person has no interest in Scentsy, that is a huge, huge mistake. Why? Now, remember when I said Sorry, I'm just taking a drink because I'm coming off a cold, so my voice is just getting back. A couple days ago, I had no voice at all. Remember, at the very beginning, I said there's two things that you need to remember. Number one, your network's not big enough to support your goal. This is point 2, okay? If you remember this point, you can honestly stop listening to everything else I'm going to say because everything is going to hinge on the point I'm going to tell you next, okay? It's the hidden yield. And all professional networkers understand this. Remember, I was talking about this first level relationship. You see someone, you talk to them, you find out they're not interested in Scentsy at all. So now you have one of two choices. You can either not build the relationship or you can build the relationship. But a lot of people, so many Scentsy consultants, will stop wanting to build the relationship because they don't see an immediate benefit to their goals. It is the biggest mistake you can make, and it's because of the hidden yield. This is what that means. The result that you want is usually one or more steps removed from the initial relationship that you establish. You want access to the portal. Okay, let me give this slide, and then I'm going to explain it some more in my own words. The power of 150. Each person has roughly 150. There's actually stats and studies on this. Each person has roughly 150 real relationships that they are willing to share with those they know and trust. This hidden network, because to you it's hidden. You see someone and you just see them. You can't see that 150 faces behind them. That's their network. You can only see that first level. The hidden network is the gold mine for your goals because there's always at least one person in that 150 that can and will help you achieve what you want. Now let me tell you how this is applied to Scentsy in our case. I swear to you, Meghann and I have worked this hidden yield massively over the last 5 years. We have recruited so many people from this. We have recruited so many people by being able to get access to other people's 150 and building a relationship with a first person who maybe isn't interested in Scentsy, but because we spent the time building the relationship and we ask that person, do you know of anyone else? Like, we recognize maybe you don't want to join or you don't want to host or whatever. Do you know anyone who might want to? I swear to you, that portal has opened up massively. Give an example.
Yeah, so I just want to share with you guys two prime examples of this. We have two frontline star directors. One lives in Ontario and one lives in Western Australia. Both of those women have between hold on, I'm drawing a blank.
Between 300 and 500.
No, actually more. Between those two ladies' teams, we have almost 1,000 people in our group.
Yeah, just with those two ladies.
For those two ladies. And both relationships started because of someone else. The one in Australia was my aunt. I simply asked for referrals for Australia connections, and my aunt said, hey, I have an old college friend, and this is her, and you may want to contact her. And sure enough, there she was. She joined, and she has built a beautiful, amazing business in Australia because of my aunt's personal connection and my relationship with my aunt being positive enough that she felt that she could give me her college friend's information. The other girl is the Ontario. This came from a conversation in the hallway at church. I asked if she had anybody that she might know that might be interested back home in Toronto, Ontario area. This was back in 2010. And she said, yes, my friend, she's a single mom with 2 little girls. She does hair. She probably would love Scentsy in her salon. And I'm going to put you in contact with her. And from that relationship, the girl at church put us in contact. She joined. And now she's a star director with a huge business out in international business as well. And those are 2 examples of exactly what Ryan just talked to.
Okay. I'm seeing a few people some people got booted from the audio, but then I guess it looks like everyone is back. So that's good. I cannot stress this point enough. When I hear Scentsy consultants say, I have talked to everyone, no one wants to join. Number one, you haven't talked to everyone. You're lying to yourself. Like, let's just call that for what it is. You're lying to yourself because you don't want to admit that there are other people you could talk to. But the more important part is that you've missed the point. It's not about talking to everyone. It's about getting access to that 150 behind them. If you've only talked, let's say you're not lying, and let's say you literally have talked to everyone you know, the question is, have you accessed the 150 behind everyone you know? Because not only those two extreme examples that we have that are worth 1,000 people just from this principle, we have lots of other ones too. It is fundamental in how we run our business that we look for this portal. In every recruiting dynamic, it's why we've been very, very successful recruiters, because we never stop at first level. We always know about second level, and we're always trying to pursue second level. And you only get access to second level if you have a trusted relationship with level 1. If you don't remember anything else from my part of the presentation, and again, this is recorded, listen to it again. If you don't remember anything else, please do not forget this. This is critical to your business, you know? And so even more international expansion, when I see people say, oh, I can't participate internationally. I don't know anyone in Ireland. I don't know anyone in Mexico. I don't know anyone in Australia. It doesn't matter, because it's very, very, very likely that someone that you do know does know someone. And when you take, let's say you know 150 times 150, there's a lifetime of people there. To get into these other markets, you have to access this portal. And I already said this part. You don't get access to 150 if you haven't built the relationship first. The first relationship is the gatekeeper. And this is why so many people get it wrong. They only think one level. They discount the less important relationships. They meet someone, and that someone says they're not interested in Scentsy, and so then they just say, oh, okay, I guess we'll just leave it at that. They don't spend more time trying to build that relationship, and they never ask to get into that portal of 150. So the best networkers, they don't network to make tons of friends. They have access to that portal, and they have the trust and recommendation of the gatekeeper. And I guess I could add another bullet, which is they actually ask to get into that portal. Okay, so let's just focus really quickly. I got about 10 minutes left, and then Megan's turn. Let's focus really quickly on very specific strategies on how to do all this. 7 practical strategies that you can implement today. Number 1, strengthen the connections you already have. Okay? Sit down, make a list of your 100 closest people. Reach out to every single one of them. Show genuine interest. We like to talk about a power 3, health, family, and success. Everybody likes to talk about their health, their family, and their success. Power 3, you can talk about that. Don't keep score. Look to add value. Remember, we're trying to strengthen the connections that we already have. We want access. We want to get that trusted relationship so we can have access to the portal. Touch points, tracking, and following up. Those of you who are on our team and our group know that I am obsessed with numbers and keeping track. Why? Because numbers don't lie. Humans lie. Humans lie to themselves. Humans lie to each other. Stats don't ever lie. And whenever I see a consultant say, I've talked to everybody, Meghann bans me from Facebook because my comments would probably upset some people, because I feel like you're lying to yourself and you're lying to us. because you haven't talked to everyone, and most of the time you've talked to far less people than you think you've talked to because your emotions are clouding your judgment. That's why I say track the people. And me and Meghann do this. We actually keep track of people who we're talking to. We know the last time we've talked to them. And the frequency that we're talking to them is really based on categories that we set out. But we don't lie to ourselves. Because if we haven't gotten recruited for a little while, we can look back and say, well, yeah, I guess we've only talked to 20 people in the last month. Instead of saying we've talked to everybody. Okay? Don't use that word everybody. Everything, nothing, they don't apply. Don't lie to yourself. And the way to not lie to yourself is to actually track what you're doing. Point 3, critical point. You've got to have the audacity to ask. You know, we talk about this all the time. Go for no. Don't worry about rejection. Just embrace it. Treat it like a game. Excuse me. And what we mean by this is you got to have the audacity to ask. Not just the first level. You know, the first level is the people that you know directly, if they're interested in buying, hosting, or joining. But having the audacity to ask through that level, to that second level. That's what we've done over and over and over again, and that's why we have a very successful business. It's because we've had the audacity to ask through that first level, and we don't care if we get a no. You know, and it doesn't need to hurt the relationship. It doesn't need to make things awkward. I always like to give the analogy of the sample lady at the grocery store. You know, do you want a piece of pie? No, I don't. She's not getting her feelings hurt. It's the same thing with us. Strategy 4. I've kind of pounded this one into the ground, so I think I've made my point here. Strength of weak ties. Your real network, excuse me, is the network of your network. It's that portal. It's that beyond the first level. And this is the International Exposure Goldmine. Seriously, those of you who are looking to expand internationally, if you haven't expanded internationally, there's a good chance you haven't used this portal. Because if you look at your first level connections and none of them have international expansion, then really it's the road that you need to take, because it's very, very likely that someone within your first level is going to have access to an international person who's interested. Okay, strategy number 5 quickly. How to remember names. Number 1, stop thinking about yourself. Seriously. If you put the entire focus on someone else, go back to that very first slide that I showed with that lady with putting her hand out, you know, work in the room, trying to get all the cards. That's a selfish approach. And when you have a selfish approach, you're just thinking about your own agenda and you don't remember names. And how many times have you had a conversation? I've had this, and it ticks me off. When someone is working the room, working the agenda for their own selfish purposes, and I can tell they don't give a crap about my name. I can tell that they forgot it. Don't be that person. Remember their names. Stop thinking about yourself. Direct the entirety of your focus on them. I like to use their name in the conversation really quickly, and then the other thing, kind of my key approach is, as quickly as possible, make a verbal association. What I mean by that is when they have, you know, if their name is the name of someone that you recognize, I guess it should say a mental association instead of a verbal association. Immediately make association with their name to someone that you recognize, and you use their name in a sentence and think about them. You'll remember names. 2 more, and then make a start. The real art of small talk. Okay, fake isn't memorable. Talk about what makes you passionate. Don't be scared to be yourself. The best version of you is just you. Okay, you don't need to try to be like anyone else. When you're out there networking, building new relationships, trying to expand, don't feel like you need to be this like shell, you know, meme of a person. Just be yourself. And if you don't believe me, actually go on TED, go to YouTube and YouTube Brené Brown and her TED Talk, where there was a very comprehensive study about vulnerability being the key glue and the key sticky point in all connections between humans. Put yourself out there. Be yourself. Be vulnerable. Okay, last strategy, getting outside your town. And again, this is recorded, so if you don't have time to write all this down, it'll be up.
Can you put the slides?
Well, the slides are on the video. It's being recorded in the video. Okay. So you'll see it. You'll see all the slides. Excuse me. My cold. Okay, number 1. you got to be a master of the other strategies first. If you're not a master relationship builder, if you don't know how to be yourself, if you don't know how to remember people's names, if you don't have the audacity to ask, then getting outside of your town is kind of running before you learn how to walk, okay? So let's try to walk first before we start running. But let's say now we've got the walking down pat. We need to get outside of your town. We like to say to our consultants that getting outside of your town is a must. Now, it's not an immediate must because your first engagement, what I like to say is kind of the 3 stages. 1 is your initial network, see who wants to buy, host, and join within that initial network. 2 is the portal network, which is the 150 of every person within your network. And then the next one is specific steps to even get outside of that too. We like to do conferences, okay? And when you go to conferences, don't work the room, but make a whole bunch of friends. So it's okay to give your business card away. Take a whole bunch of business cards, but come back, instead of a stack of business cards, come back with a stack of friendships, okay? And track it. Track how many people you talk to and see how many new friends that you can make. Seminar is something we do. Meetup, check out meetup.com. It's worldwide. That's a really, really powerful thing. We both going to meetings, but also creating meetings of our own. I've done this a number of times where I've created a meeting through Meetup, and I just create my own network opportunity. You know, I'll do a public speech on a certain topic and get a bunch of people to come. And, you know, putting yourself out there, being brave, being audacious, that drives networking, that drives opportunities. And it's something that is just a habit for me and Meghann. Investing in travel, being bold. You know, we've traveled all over North America, Australia. Like we've always been willing to invest in travel. We've always been willing to be bold, and that's why our network is very, very big. We frequently join associations, different groups, different, you know, not different churches, but actively involved in our church, common interest groups, volunteering. Okay, third point to remember. I know I already said 2, but I'm going to sneak a third one in, and I'll be done quick. Get away from Facebook. Seriously. Don't. If you audit your time and 80% of your time, or even 50% of your time is spent on Facebook, you are running your business incorrectly. Okay? I can't be any more blunt. Turn the computer off. Go outside. Pick up the phone. When you talk to big superstar directors, we don't huddle behind Facebook all day long. We are out there. We are doing stuff. We are creating relationships. We are actually talking with face-to-face and on the phone. Do that. And then the last one is online. We like to use attraction marketing. What that is really the power of your story. You know, for 5 years we've been putting our story out there. You know, we've been blogging, YouTube, and all kinds of different things to just put our story out, and that's attracted lots of people.
Can I say something really quick about the power of your story? Don't think that you have to be a superstar director to have a story that's worth sharing. Your story, it doesn't matter what rank you are at. Your story, why you joined Scentsy, why you love it, is going to attract someone. Someone may be in exactly your same situation. Someone may be that mom that just needed to get away from the kids and have some adult girl time. That story may be your story, and that may be exactly what someone else is looking for. Or someone may be, your story may be that you joined Scentsy because you were really shy and you just wanted to try to get out of your comfort zone. You wanted to see if you could make friends, and kind of a challenge to yourself to see if you could overcome some of your own fears and shyness, whatever. That exact story may be someone else's story too. So when we say share your story, you don't have to be, the story is not dependent on rank. The story is your authentic story, and that authentic story is what will, what someone out there is searching for.
Not only will your story might be someone else's story, I'd like to adjust that. Your story will be someone else's story. Your story is someone else's story. And here's the great thing. Your story, excuse me, is going to constantly evolve. So what your story is right now is someone else's story right now. And then 6 months from now, your business has grown, so maybe your story is a little bit different. But now that it's different, it's still the same as a new person. And then a year from now, your story is different, and now it's the same as a new person. So as your story is evolving, it is matching different people. Think about a stairway. You're climbing this stairway. Well, at each step, your story is the same as someone else. So go public and make yourself vulnerable. Like, that's one of the things that me and Meghann have done all the time. Like, we keep it real. Go on our YouTube channel. Like, we've had friggin' naked kids in the background. You know, we've had all kinds of stuff. We just keep it real. We just say it as it is. We just
Brian and I
live it.
We had a fight
on
the screen one time. We were disagreeing, and right in front of one of our directors, and we were kicking each other under the desk and
just keep it real.
At each other.
This is the last thing I'll say, and then it's Meg's turn. I once had a guy who is literally 100 less successful than us in direct sales. He came to me and he said, you know, I watched your YouTube videos, and you guys, I recognize you guys are successful, but you should have like a professional video crew. And you know, in our company, the big time leaders, they always, you know, they'll show them in their Ferraris and driving around. And I looked at him and I shook my head and I said, with all due respect, I'm probably going to offend you for what I'm going to say, but I don't really care. You don't have a clue what you're even talking about. And the reason why your business isn't as successful as ours,
there we go.
Sorry, keeping it real, is because you're being fake. You're trying to create this story that isn't even true, you know? And by telling a real story, what you're doing is you're creating trust. You're creating trust online. We've recruited lots of people that way because people see us, particularly with Meghann. Well, there's two things. You know, me leaving my job as a lawyer and being vulnerable that way, Meghann keeping it real all the time. There's people all the time who have come to Meghann and said, Meg, I think you're the same as me, and if you can do it, I can do it. That's what you want. You don't want to put on this like big weird show. You don't want the bells and whistles and flashy. You don't want to go lease the Lamborghini for the week. You want people to see your story and say, if she can do it, I can too. Okay, that is mine. I came in 2 minutes overtime.
Okay.
Usually I come in like half an hour overtime, so Meg's usually kicking me. So Meg's turn now.
Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys are got some juices flowing and you're thinking about a lot of that. Was awesomely good information. So I'm going to talk, we're just, so you guys understand, we're going to be doing multiple topics on recruiting throughout the School Diggers program. So if there's some content that you're like, oh shoot, I didn't get that, or I wanted to hear this and we never covered that, we're doing other recruiting topics. So before we get into like the how-tos, there are some mindsets, and I know some of you that are on our team have heard this before, but the information doesn't change. So I was trying to figure out how to say it differently, but a lot of it is still what I told you guys a year ago or 6 months ago. Is still relevant. So a couple things that you absolutely have to have in your mind. We call it have a key mindset or a paradigm shift. Without these key beliefs, you won't be able to have a successful recruiting business. So the number one key belief, and I know, I think Jacqueline Roy is the one that we kind of hear talk about the burdening to blessing philosophy, but this is 100% true. You have to approach people with kind of an, I guess called the attitude of gratitude, meaning that you have to have a gratitude-filled perspective. You need to think about, before offering this business to others, be very conscious and reflective of what you are grateful for in this business. Because if you truly, if you have real gratitude and are grateful, and this business has brought you joy and happiness and friendship and confidence and all these things, you're going to want to share that. And you need to think, what if I could help someone else have what I have? But if you are going about thinking, oh geez, I don't want to bug that person, or, oh, I'm just going to be getting on their nerves, or I don't want to be awkward with them, or I don't want to pester them, then you're not thinking about everything that you've gained from the business. If you're thinking that way, you're really making it about you, because you are just worried about what they might think of you, or, oh, I don't want to bug them, all that stuff. So you really need to shift that burden to blessing, because if you truly believe this business has blessed you in some way, financially, confidence, friends, why wouldn't you want to just share that with someone? Your job is to share that with them and let them decide. You're just doing your job by sharing that, right? Okay, so that is the thing. You have to throw away the burdening mindset. You're not burdening. You are potentially offering them a blessing or something amazing or great that can happen for them. The other thing is you need to stay away, and Ryan touched on this a lot, so I won't go into this too much, but the I need a new recruit attitude. If you have that I need desperation, that is going to come across in your recruiting. You cannot appear desperate. We always talk about planting seeds and watering them, and those seeds will grow into your recruits, but you cannot drown those seeds. And the people that are, I need a new recruit, and you're focusing on one person and you keep on hammering and badgering them because you really need them to join, because you need them to hit certified before January 31st so you can get the rest of your trip points. If you're having that approach, that is going to come off. People can feel that. They can feel that vibe from you. So have a ton of seeds, offer the business an opportunity to lots of people, water them, don't drown them, and they will grow on their own time. But don't fixate on, oh, that one lady that I talked to at a party 3 months ago, she said she was going to join. Do not hammer her for 3 months. Talk to a bunch of people in between now or then. Keep her on your follow-up list, but don't focus on just her and relentlessly pester her, because that will come across that way. A funny example that I gave I spoke at Spring Sprint about 3 years ago in Edmonton, and I remember telling this analogy, and I hadn't thought about it for a while, but it totally pertains to this topic. When my kids were little, well, and they still are little, but they really, really vibe off a lot of sugar. And so I remember making cookies one time and knowing that I needed to really control the amount that they ate, because I didn't need to have a wild, crazy household and have them not be able to go to bed because they're high on sugar. So I remember them all sitting in the kitchen one time, and I had the cookies in a cookie jar or like a Tupperware container or whatever in our pantry, and I was standing with my back to them in the pantry eating the cookies sneakily. And I remember my daughter saying, "Mom, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. I'm just looking for something." You're wondering where I'm going with this, but there is a moral here. And then I thought of that. That's kind of like recruiting. If you have these treats, and think of your Scentsy business as your treat. Do not hide your treat from others. If you've got something good, don't turn your back and sneak it to yourself. Why wouldn't you share that? And if people are asking, what do you do? What do you do for your business? What does Scentsy do? Don't just kind of blow them off and give them a one-word or one-line answer. Tell them absolutely why you love it. Share your treats with them. Don't be that sneaky mom hiding in the pantry, eating their cookies, but not willing to share with the kids. So I remember that was a funny example that I just thought of today that I wanted to share with you. Okay, the other one, Ryan also touched on this a little bit. They all kind of cross over. The whole go for no, worst case scenario concept. What you need to ask yourself when you're thinking about offering the business opportunity to others, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen to you? Before you even offer, before you send that email or send that text or tell her about it or talk to her, in person, or however you're about to approach someone about the business opportunity, stop for a second and think, what in the world is the worst case scenario? And then really think about it. What is the worst thing that can go wrong if I offer this opportunity? Probably you're going to sit there and you're going to come to the obvious conclusion that the person is going to say no. They're going to say no, thank you. They'll probably be really polite. They probably won't throw an egg or a tomato in your face. They'll probably, the worst, awfulest, most terrible thing that can happen is they're going to probably say, you know what, thanks for asking, I'm just, right now isn't the right time, or no, thank you, but I'll continue to buy, or I'll be the greatest host. You need to sit there and think about that. If that's the worst case scenario, can you handle that? Hello? How many times have you said no thank you to people? How many times? That is absolutely the worst thing that can happen, is someone's probably going to say no thank you, or they might just not answer you back, or they might not text back, whatever. But that's all. If you can handle that, then why aren't you offering this opportunity way more if you know that that's the worst that can happen? And then obviously the best case scenario, the opposite of that, is that they join your team. So that's a no-brainer. People that think about the people. I always think about, Ryan brought up the lady in the grocery store. Another one, how many times do you walk by women or men in malls at kiosks that are trying to sell you a credit card? Right? Or you're in the airport and you're walking past in the terminal and they're saying, hey, can I talk to you for a second? You know what? These poor people, they don't even often, and I'm totally guilty of this, I ignore them like I don't even speak English. Like I just walk right on by them. Okay. So, geez, like those people have to go all day long and basically have people, they ask people and they don't even get a no thank you. And they show up for work the next day. And they continue on. And we as women especially, it is rejection for women is a natural fear. I totally believe that we have to, as women, we have to learn to deal with the fear of rejection in this business. And the way I have gone about this, and the way, and my rejection skin has got thicker over time, is truly realizing that whether someone says yes or no, is independent of my happiness, right? Your and my fulfillment, happiness, really should be independent of their answer. Think about the things that make you happy in life. They're your family, your partner, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your kids, your dog, your warm home, your fridge is full of food, you're in a community that you love, a church group, all those things that bring you real happiness in your life, they are completely independent of whether someone said yes or no. So if you can figure out how to deal with that natural sense of rejection that we all have, that fear of rejection, then realize that your happiness is not dependent on other people's answers, that the important things in your life are still there, whether someone said yes or no. If you can work on that, I can promise you that your recruiting and your sponsoring will grow, because I think the place where most women, and I'm saying women a lot, I know it's men too, but the people I'm thinking of, where their recruiting and their business growing has slowed down is because they've internalized that rejection. And so instead of just moving past it and going on to the next person, they're like, ooh, I'm not sure if I'm going to ask this person because that hurt last time, that stung a little. And instead of asking and carrying on to the next person, they kind of slowly stop asking because they're protecting themselves from that rejection again. So if you can separate your business, if you can separate that this is just business and you are in the offering opportunity business, it is your job to offer and it is their job to decide. But if you're not doing your job, if you're not at least offering, if you can process that and figure out how to turn those into daily consistent actions as part of your business, that you're offering this business, I promise you that your team will grow. Another thing, having an attitude of expectation. When you go to a party, what are you expecting when you go there? Are you running around scrambling, packing up your bags an hour before the party, trying to get your kids dinner fed and getting jammies and, getting everything else in your house dealt with? Are you frazzled all the way to the party? Are you lost because you can't figure out where the house is and you didn't plan? Are you that consultant that has not prepared? Because I have been both. I have been that frazzled, unprepared consultant, and I've been that prepared consultant. And I can tell you when I am prepared and I am calm and I am driving to my party or my fair, whatever I'm going to, I can then work on my attitude of expectation. And what I mean by that is that I can mentally do some self-talking as I'm preparing or heading to my event party, that I talk to myself saying, I am going to get a recruit. I expect a recruit tonight. I listen to pumped up music, get myself pumped up, but in my head I'm telling myself over and over, you're going to get a recruit. And then the fun part is just figuring out who that recruit is going to be when you walk in. But if you walk into that party completely frazzled and 100 other things on your mind, you're not going to be hunting for, or looking or keeping your eyes open for your next teammate, because you've got 100 other things going on. So having that attitude of expectation, expect of yourself to get a recruit. Obviously, the host is a no-brainer. You're going to always offer the opportunity to that host before you close that party. I like to sit down with the host and show them exactly what the party's at, what their commission would be if they joined, how much of that commission would be to cover the starter kit. So that's a no-brainer. Your host is kind of your halfway there person, because they've already showed enough interest in the product to host a party and bring people into their home. They've done the work of gathering people and going through a party. So the host is a no-brainer that you want to at least do not leave a party without offering that party to your host. Please don't do that. Walk back through that door if you walk out without offering that business opportunity to the host first. So expect that you're going to recruit your host, or at least someone from that party. And even if somebody, I can look back through a lot of my very first parties, and I can usually tie a recruit to most of my parties. If it's not, it's the host, it's a customer or a guest at that party, or it's a customer that came from a referral from that guest. But somehow I'm able to tie a lot of my teammates back to home parties. And I know that when I expect and I'm mentally there, then when somebody asks about the business opportunity, I am game on. I am not caught off guard. I am ready to talk about the opportunity. Another thing for parties, never go into a party without a recruiting package. Do not walk in there without join information. Ideally, having recruiting packages made. Recruiting packages are, just manila envelopes with your story written up, typed up, printed out, catalog, business card. I like to throw in a scent circle, frequently asked questions about joining. You want to have a package in hand that you can leave them. I always go in with at least 3 or 4. And when I offer these packages is usually at the beginning of the party. You have about 10 minutes. I have noticed through partying that I have about 10 minutes of their time, of the guest time, before they're getting kind of wiggly and they want to smell the samples. They want to check out the products. You have about 10 minutes of their captivated attention. I used to do a catalog walk with the guests at the party, and I feel like I had to explain, what everything is, the different sizes of the warmers, blah, blah, blah. I used to use that whole time to basically tell them what they can already see in the catalog. And then I realized, if I have 10 minutes with these people, what is my absolute highest priority? Well, obviously it's going to be sponsoring and recruiting and looking for sharing the business opportunity. So instead of doing the catalog walk during that 10 minutes, I introduce myself. I tell them who I am, why I'm here, what I love about my business. I tell them that I am happy to, that I'm looking for new teammates, especially in specific areas. If we're launching in new parts of the world, or there's provinces in Canada, especially, that don't have a lot of people, I will bring out specific places that we're looking for new teammates. I basically leave that whole 10 minutes before we get into the party part to offer the business opportunity in any kind of creative or clever way. I've played fun games during that 10 minutes where I will basically do pop quiz, and I will tell them, I want to tell you about my business. It's $119 to join, blah, blah, blah. The last incentive trip I went on was New York City. I will tell them about my business, and then I'll say, listen up really hard, because now I'm going to ask you back what I asked you, and then I'll say, okay, how much is it to join Scentsy Canada? And if they get it right, I throw them a scent circle. So I turn it into a fun little question and answer game. And you know what? I cut through the ice really quick on stuff. I will say, you guys are at a home party. You're at a party. You know that you're going to hear a little pitch from me. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you about my business. So I basically cut through the ice right away, so it's not awkward. I kind of poke fun at myself, and I'll say, I can't let you guys walk out of here without you hearing about my wonderful Scentsy business. So I throw my personality and my humor right back into it. And also in that presentation time, I will show my recruit packages or my join packages, and I will say, I've got 3 here. I can't leave the house tonight until I give all 3 of these away. So somebody needs to take these. If you're not interested, you might have an aunt, a sister, a mother, a neighbor, but I got to get rid of these 3 packages. You guys got to help me. So I will use my, and that's why Scentsy always talks about being authentic. I use my own sense of humor and personality, my silliness, my goofiness. I throw that in there. I'm probably the most unprofessional, according to a lot of other direct selling companies saw the way I do these joint presentations. Sometimes they would be like, "Oh my goodness." We probably throw out I probably wreck every image of a lot of other professional direct sellers. Ideas of how you should approach these things, but I just throw my own personality right into there. When I pass out those join packages, the other key thing that's absolutely crucial is I write them down on my hit list on my phone. A hit list is something that most of us like to keep. If you have a smartphone or an iPhone, I use the Notepad application, and every single time that I talk to somebody about joining the business, or if I hand them out a join package or anything like that, I write down their name. I met them at Susan's party on January 3rd, and I make sure I know exactly gave join package too, so I give myself a few little notes about them, and that way then I have them on my hit list, and I know that in about 5 to 7 days, I will follow up with them and say, hey, did you check out my join package? Do not ever send out a recruit and join package out without getting their contact information. That is a waste of material, of your money, of your time. Do not let those packages go out willy-nilly into the community without you knowing who has them. I'm all for passing out samples and business cards and maybe just a brochure. That's good to have that out there as kind of random target marketing. But if you are passing out your join packages, you've put time and money into those. Do not send those out without having follow-up contact information. Okay, so that is, I'm just scrolling down through my stuff. Hit list. Yes, so hit list. That is the other thing too. I just touched on it. Follow-up and hit list is key. Every time that you talk to anybody about the business opportunity, I don't care if they even said, maybe I'll think about it. Basically, if they didn't tell you to take a hike, you put them down on that hit list and you do not take them off till they join. I have people that have been living, they're like growing old on my hit list on my phone. I refuse to, they don't know they're still on there, but they are, because I refuse.
Back up your phones on iTunes, too.
I refuse to take them off. And I've had people that I've had on there for 2 years that have actually finally joined, because these are the people come, August and February when we get the new, when we get the promo starter kit or any promotions, they're the ones that I will still send messages to, twice a year to say, hey, we have that kit, our promo kit for the new catalog season coming up. Are you ready to join yet? Come on, I'll kind of just send little fun messages back and forth, but I don't take people off there until they basically told me to leave them alone forever. So hit list, make sure you keep track of your conversations, because really I believe that tons of conversations probably happen, and if you're not intentional in tracking those conversations, or even if it's just someone who seems unique, genuinely interested in your business and asks you for a few questions, they may not say right away, oh, I want to join, but they're asking some questions about the business. Write them down. You basically need to track who you're speaking with, and Ryan talked about this too. It's so important to track, because conversations come and go. Think about the conversations you have throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the year. We have so many conversations with people, and if you are not intentionally keeping track of those important conversations, those are going to turn into dust. They're going to be nothing. They're going to just be gone, part of your history, and they are not going to become part of your business if you don't track those. Anyways, that I'm looking over my notes. There is a ton more in recruiting and specifics that we'll get into on the next call, but I truly, truly believe that you have to have those key mindsets and beliefs about your own business and what it has given you to be a successful recruiter and sponsorer. I think that's all. We're right at 8 o'clock, so I'm trying to keep this right on time here. So that's all I have for my part of the presentation right now.
Yeah, we could talk for 3 days on this stuff, frankly, just because we've been living it for 5.5 years now. So like, this is stuff that is just from the heart, and it's stuff that we hope that we recognize that we're passionate about it. But the reason why we're passionate about it is because this isn't a textbook that we have just copied and then we're just saying things that we aren't living. Like, we're telling you what we're living. And if any of you have aspirations to have a full-time income with your Scentsy business, please don't just listen to this. I say this to every webinar that we do. If you just listen to this, nothing will happen. You have to actually do stuff. You have to not only do it once, you got to turn it into a habit. It has to become part of who you are, part of your day-to-day routine and ritual. Networking and recruiting is a part of who we are. We still recruit, and we have more frontline than, frankly, we can handle most days, and we still recruit. And it's not because it's a lot of it's because we can't help not do it, because it's like so ingrained in who we are and what we are. So with that said, okay, we're each going to give you a challenge. I'm going to give you a challenge from my part, and Meg's going to come up on the spot with a challenge from hers. But listen, if you only do the challenge 1 week, nothing's going to happen. Okay, this business is an inertia business. Look up that word. Okay, it takes. Well, I won't get into it. It's just basically, it's more. Think about a rocket ship. It burns its fuel before it's even lifted off the ground. That's what I'm talking about here. Like, it takes a while before you start seeing results, and you can't just run it in sprints and fits and starts. You gotta be consistent. So my challenge to you is start tracking at least a minimum of 10 conversations, approaches, relationship engagements every week. 10's easy. You know what my number is? I do 50. So if any of you are on the call, want to match me, awesome. And shoot me an email. I'm happy to hear. I personally do 50 every week. If someone on the call wants to beat that, wicked. I might have to up my game if you decide to beat me on that one too. But a minimum of 10 that you are going to get off of Facebook, you're going to get off the computer, you are going to either in person or over the phone have at least, Carla's going to match. Okay, Carla, you got it. Yeah, Carla's the best. Okay, I do 50. Actually, no, I'm going to raise it now on you, Carla. No, I'm going to stick with 50. This year I'm going to do 50 every single week, and I have so far. How do I keep track of my conversations? I use a good old-fashioned pen and a piece of paper that is in my journal.
He has about 500 moleskin journals that he...
Yeah, that I love, that I cherish, and I sleep with. But I also have a spreadsheet that I call my relationship action plan. This is kind of the PhD level networking class that I can probably teach later. And actually, I'm going to be putting out a whole bunch of videos this year on this, so stay tuned. I'll share them in the Gold Digger pages. But I'm starting a new YouTube series. I get on these series every once in a while. I've done series on recruiting, series on lots of stuff. I'm going to be starting a series on networking, and so I'll be sharing some kind of more advanced strategies throughout the year on this. But I kind of have a 1-2 approach. I have a journal that I track my weekly approaches, and I do 50, and I write them all down. I write why I'm contacting them, and I write the results. And then I have a spreadsheet where I'm basically listing relationships and categorizing relationships, and so that I remember, who everyone is, basically. Yeah, so that's my challenge. Minimum of 10. If you want to match me and Carla, let's do 50. That's what we're doing. One question, Ryan, which moleskin journal do you have? I have them all. Like, I don't know. Like,
Get them from Walmart.
I get them wherever. Chapters,
they're the kinds that have the rubber band.
Indigo. Yeah, as long as it has a rubber band. I have this strange OCD fetish about rubber bands on my journal. I won't get into why.
Weird.
Anyways, I'm an obsessed tracker, but it pays off. Okay, so that's how I do it. So my challenge: minimum of 10 non-Facebook conversations each week.
Okay. Okay, and my challenge is twofold. I want you guys before, the first challenge, I want you to take some reflective time and even make a list or write down or journal a few lines about your biggest blessings that have come from Scentsy. I want you to know off the top of your head what you're most grateful for your Scentsy business. So sit down. I want you to write that down because you need to, in order to really be able to share the opportunity, that needs to be like at the front of your brain, not buried back somewhere far down there. So you need to be able to say at the tip of your tongue that you're grateful for your friendships, that you're grateful for your increased confidence and self-esteem, that you're grateful for meaningful relationships. I want you to journal and just take a little quiet time and really be reflective about that. And then the other part of the challenge is I want you to make up at least 5 recruiting packages and hand them out this week before we have the next call next Tuesday. Hand out 5 recruiting packages. What I like to have in my recruiting packages is my story. We just actually use a story that we put on our PWS and we print it off. And I like to put some cute stickers on that and sign my name on there so there's a little bit of personal touch with my own signature. And then a catalog, join brochure. I like to throw in a scent circle, my business card. There's frequently asked questions, why do you want to join Scentsy, or top 10 reasons to join Scentsy. There's some cute little documents floating around out in Facebook land that you can put in there. Put them all in a manila envelope and have those with you and pass out 5 of those before next Tuesday. So that's my challenge.
That's all we got, guys. So I'm going to be getting the recording up. It will have the slides in. Like I said, I had a backup if it didn't work, but it will work, and I will put it all up. And I'm probably going to throw it on YouTube, too, because it's got some cool little feature here where I can export it into YouTube. So, share this with your teams. I love Orville's analogy of the rising tide lifts all boats. There isn't, this business, in my opinion, and all the other trainers on this group, I'm 100% sure share the same opinion, is that there is room for all of us to be successful. We are not competing with each other. None of us compete with each other. All of us can have all of our goals if we just work hard and do what we know we should. So we'll leave that with you. Have a great night.
Okay, guys. Go out there and dig.
See you later.